All right, let me introduce you guys. Just so we know who we're talking with here. So I've got my brother Tim. He's here.
I don't know where to look. Hello.
Ian, he's my nephew Ian. He's been on
How's it
before.
going?
He's also my
Second
son.
time guest.
We have Joe here, our friend Joe, and you also go by, is it Sal or Joe?
Both.
You can't be both, man. You got to pick up. You got to.
He's like a
I'm both.
He's a secret identity.
Yeah.
He's got to disguise his identity.
Like Clark Kent. And Superman.
Yeah. No, it's Joseph Salvatore Giancarelli. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah.
And Joe is our celebrity tonight. Joe is the drummer for the band Stained.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's great to have you here, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Yep, up here in the bar.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you're also in a band, a local party band with this guy.
I am.
It is true.
Yeah.
And that band is called Johnny Bender.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Mhm.
Yes.
What's more of a challenge, drumming for Stained or Johnny Bender?
Johnny Bender.
Is that right?
I don't think that's a good thing.
Thanks a lot. He looks at me like, I'm like, fuck you saying?
So how do you guys do it to where, like, if Stained is on tour, right?
Mhm.
How do you guys work out what you guys are going to do? Like, what is the tour like with Stained? Like, they don't tour every year, obviously, right? It's usually just promoting a new album, or
No, well, I mean, at Stained, like recently, we'll tour once a year. So we do have a new record out, so we're doing 2 tours this year. But when I tour with Stained, they don't, they didn't play, which I think is amazing, by the way.
Well, it's very simple for us. If
Yeah.
Joe's on tour with Stained, then we're not playing.
Right.
So if
Right.
he's off tour,
Yeah.
and if obviously Stained trumps Johnny Bender,
Sure.
of course.
now, you've been in Stained for 12 years, is that right? How long? How many?
Yeah, 13 this year
13
as the drummer.
years. No shit.
But before that, it was 12 as the drum tech. So it's 25 years.
And how did that come out how did you join Stained? How did you get that gig? How did that all happen for you?
All right. Long story short, in 1995, me and 2 of my friends, we were in a trio band. We moved to Northampton, Massachusetts. Our bass player was going to Hampshire College there. So Stained is from Springfield. So we eventually kind of gravitated, towards each other or friends. It was a friends group. And so we kind of, were acquaintances then. But it was actually our tour manager and our front of house engineer now that actually was Stained's crew all the way back in 95 to 98 when they were a cover band. Stained was a cover band. So Stained was similar to Johnny Bender in regards, we could pull 1,000 people to our show. Stained was like that back then. They would pull in 900,000 people or whatever. So so we all kind of met a circle of friends, and Pete Ricky and Jeff Gilmer, who are the 2 guys I'm talking about. In 98, they got their record deal. And at that time, the 3 of us that moved to Northampton decided to roll out to Los Angeles. So when we were in Los Angeles, Stained came through with Seven Dust and Skunk and Nancy. And I ended up hooking up with Pete and Jeff, the 2 crew guys from way back then. And Pete was just saying, we're at that point where we could use an extra crew guy,
Really?
being a drum tech, So I just said, hey.
Oh, so you started as a drum tech.
A drum tech, yeah. So I said, hey, if you need some help until you find a real drum tech, just let me know. I mean, I'll come out and help you guys. So we all moved, the trio that we rolled out there with, we all moved back home, and I was working on the family farm, and one day my younger brother comes rolling into the field on the family farm and says, hey, Pete wants you to, give him a call. And I met him in Albany. It was October 2nd, 1999, I think. So I met him there and went out for a couple of weeks just to try it. And 25 years later, here I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna
shit.
roll in your YouTube reel real quick. So we're gonna take a quick look at this.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I see that last shot and that reel that you have, I mean, that crowd is immense, dude. What the fuck is that like?
Oh man. I mean, it's intense. It's intense. And that was the biggest crowd up to that point that I had, played in front of. And also too, I'll add that it must have been 2012 because I ended up getting the job in 2011. And so that specific day was kind of like a double doozy for me because all the bands that were there, this was like one of the first festivals that I played as the drummer for STAIND. So you had all these obviously amazing fans, but you also had, I think to my left off on the, the side of the stage, you had Barry from Shinedown, you had Sam from Chevelle, you had all these other drummers, watching, that I had known as a tech.
Are you kind of proving yourself to them?
Well, I felt like it was a cool, I felt like they were saying welcome to the family kind of thing, welcome to the drummer club, you know what I mean?
So they're off there watching you, just cheering you on.
Exactly. And I was like, oh my gosh, you had all these great drummers over here, and then you had this big huge crowd, so it was a double doozy that day. So
like, what do you have to do knowing that, okay, you are a musician, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make my mark. What do drummers need to do to be like, all right, I'm going to show this up? Well,
I got to add to what you're saying, because I do feel like the music that the band plays will help that. Because look at Motley Crue, you know what I mean? They were party rock or whatever, and I think it just kind of lended a hand, And Tommy was, the other thing too is music videos back then. Music videos really, they don't exist now today, and it kind of helped to show one of the members' personalities, right? So that kind of helped, and so so then next Tommy has the cage with Girls Goes Girls, then he has the he's done the roller coaster, he did it, so I think that lends a hand. But I guess in my situation, it's been a gradual thing for me, because I am replacing the original drummer. So it's okay, do the best you can to give it 100%, within the confines of what it's supposed to be, because it's STAIND's music. I'm here to represent STAIND's music, and then as time went on, there's some different flavors that, I'd add a Sal flavor, because I'm
at some point, right? You are the drummer, as opposed to looking at it as a replacement. Right. When I talked about the singer for Journey, the new singer of Journey's been in the band now longer than Steve Perry.
Yes,
so
exactly.
when does that? Like, you guys are coming up on. You've been there for 13 years.
Yes.
Now. Yeah. So you're almost tied.
When it comes to the record deal, I think it's one more year longer
that you've been in there.
Yeah, or no, we're tied. I think you're right. We're tied since the record deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Talk about
that. Before we leave the STAIND topic, have you heard that album?
Yes, absolutely.
I have.
It's some of their best work in years. It is an absolutely fantastic record.
It is. It is so
Such
good.
A great record, dude.
We'll pull this out. For sure. We'll awesome. I used to manage a band here in Charlotte.
That was Parallel?
Yeah, Parallel. And
cover band?
No, they had originals. They had
original
albums
band?
out.
Originals. They had some
some music videos with them and stuff.
Nice.
And the drummer Pooch, it always killed me, because we would like line stuff up in Uptown Charlotte, some bars and stuff like them playing. He'd lug everything in, and all these drum cases and everything, right? No drum tech, because they're doing it like when you're in a small local band, you guys know, right?
Of course, you're
gear. You started off as a drummer. You were a drummer in our band. You're loading all
pay your dues, man.
Loading all this stuff in, whereas then the lead singer just shows up. How much shit the drummer has to bring in.
Yeah, drummer's the first one there, the last one to leave.
First one there, last one to leave.
And the last one to leave with the women, right?
Yeah, but what the hell does the drummer really do?
No, he's the last one.
Much.
He's the last one to leave. I mean, if it's an early gig, he still has a couple pizzas to deliver afterwards.
Oh my God, dude! But it always amazed me how, like on that local level, right? Like. But that's when I would always be like, man, that's like the guy with the most passion.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's good.
I would think, like in a local band, everyone's committed, so you got to include the drummer. The drummer's committed too, but the drummer's almost even more committed because he knows he's got to be there 30, 40 minutes before. Find the parking. He's got 7 or 8 more pieces of gear.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
So I will put it to you this way: every single member of a band, in a rock band, I'm talking about, the bass player and the guitar player have to learn a tremendous amount of notes that they have to play that has to go perfectly right every single time. If you play a bad note, people know it. A drummer contributes by playing his ass off and is a much more physical presence on stage as far as his performance is more physical. Okay. The singer has a lot on him because all eyes are on him most of the time. 80% of the show, the eyes are on the singer. They're the only person in the band, really, that their instrument is a part of their physical body. So it's a part of their physiology. Yes, a guitar player needs his fingers to play. A drummer needs his arms to play, feet to play. Same thing with a bass player. You get my point.
Except for Rick Allen. He could use it with one.
And he does a hell of a job. But the singer, if he's having a bad day or he's sick.
Yeah, the show's done.
Or she's sick.
They can cancel it, right? Or they can shut it down halfway.
You can't perform.
Right.
No,
You're at the mercy of the physiology of your own body.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into not setting up kit, but preparing yourself for performing.
Well, you're kind of like one body in its sense too.
But
like,
what I'm saying is that everybody. I'm not saying that this is more important than that or that's more important than this.
No, yeah,
I'm saying that everybody has a different facet of preparation that they have to go through. Drummers can make a mistake and it's not as obvious unless it's a timing thing.
Well, you can probably recover more as a drummer.
Sure, you can. Of course, it's a lot more forgiving. That being said,
still doesn't remove the fact that I got to load more shit in.
No, it does not. It does not. And me being a singer, I'm trying to justify, leaving the show with money in my hand and a woman on my arm and being like, "Bye, Joe." But no, but we stick around and help.
So what happened on the way back up here to?
Oh my fucking god!
Thank God! I thought you'd never ask.
That story.
All right, so the cruise ends on this morning.
The cruise ended. We got off the ship this morning. We woke up around 6 a.m. I don't know what time it is now, but we've basically been running on fumes for a whole week. Okay. So we drove up from Fort Lauderdale to Charlotte. So we crossed the border into Georgia. And it's about time for a rest stop, fuel up and get some, use the restroom. And, what you do when you're on a road trip. There's 4 of us on the trip. There's my wife and I, and then Joe and his girl Holly. So Joe's fueling up the truck, and we're going into the
Pilot.
We're going. What's that?
It was a pilot.
Gas station.
The gas station.
Oh, it was a pilot gas station.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So we decide, okay, we go into the pilot gas station, right? Looks friendly enough. So we walk in the door, and there's a yellow cone, which actually we have a picture of if you want to put it up.
What are we looking at here?
It's a yellow cone. It's right by the door. So, we're like, what the hell? And it's actually a pile of shit. And then about...
When you say a pile, I just need some details.
Okay, the pile, when I'm saying a pile, imagine a dog about the size of a Boston Terrier.
Okay.
Took a full shit.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a steamer.
And then, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe 3 feet from that, a dog about the size of maybe like a
smaller dog.
A slightly smaller dog took another shit. And then a little bit farther from that,
Sure.
about the same size dog.
Most
took
of it
another
already
shit.
came out.
Yeah, I think so.
I guess he must have not been a
There
good
was
pilot.
a trail, a trail of shame that literally went all the way into the bathroom.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You cannot even. This truly happened.
Yeah.
And I God bless the people that were working there because they were trying to clean up as quickly as humanly possible. Unfortunately, there were other people coming in that were
Completely oblivious. Yeah.
and decided they needed to get their Slim Jims and get back on the road. They were stepping
Oh my
tracking it throughout the store.
Yeah.
So the piles, as you can imagine, the piles started out where you have the large cone and the shit's underneath it. That pile stayed pretty much intact. Okay,
As it should.
because
the
it
first one.
basically says because
Yeah.
as you may see in the picture if you show it, there's a picture literally on the cone of a man slipping in a pile of shit.
So what do you think?
these
So what,
cones so
so what do you
fast?
think?
I don't
do you
know.
think?
Oh my
do you think
God.
it's a trucker? Do you think it's a dude that
I
just
don't
had some
know.
bad food?
We did not find out. I'll tell you
Either
what.
way,
I will
that
tell
guy's
you
having
this.
a bad day.
Yes,
Yes.
it's funny you say that.
Yes.
So we ended up, Joe and I, we've been on the road for a while. We're men.
Yeah.
We gotta go to the bathroom. We had a couple cups of coffee, you know.
And Joe, chime
take a
in here
shit.
too,
You
man.
gotta
with
take a
this.
shit.
So, I would say very cautious
Yeah.
with our steps
Yeah.
getting into the bathroom.
Yeah.
When I went into the bathroom, I noticed, poor guy, I noticed that the stall, there were a pair of pants and some shoes there. And I don't know if the gentleman was still in the stall.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. I didn't see anybody.
So
Well, I think he might have
Yeah.
just dropped him and took off.
how did you do that? You're gonna have to
Yeah,
walk
how did
out
you get out?
naked.
How would you get out?
How do you leave?
You can't fucking do that.
Well, you could if you went to the guys that worked there. They
You
were
already
like,
shit on the floor.
You need help, man?" And he was like, "Hey, man, look, can you give me? Nah,
Get me
I'm
outta
a
here.
pilot."
Your clothes, give
Yeah.
them to me.
Yeah.
right. Get a Terminator on him.
Yeah.
See, you would
he
the
already
first
shit his pants though.
the first
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
is that it's a pilot. You'll never see this in a quick trip.
no.
In a QT, you'll never
No,
have
no,
this
no.
problem.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
That's
Dude.
No.
It was so.
But yeah, go ahead.
Anyways, as we were very careful getting out of there. The girls walked in, they walked right back out. They were like, they wanted nothing to do with
Yeah.
us.
Well,
They're
it wasn't in the
hell
women's
no.
room.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, here, just a little bit of the lay of the land here, because not only did you have piles, you had smears.
You did.
Yeah,
From other people.
piles and smirs and
Stepping
piles.
in that
Sure.
Smears and
So,
piles.
and
Oh
the
my
length
God.
of this thing.
Sounds like a Milton Bradley game.
yeah.
Piles and smears.
So you had
Christ, man.
So you walk in the door. I mean, the length. So when you walk in the door, you had all of the shopping, the aisles on the left, and then you had all the coffee, and then the registers on the right. And so you had to walk all the way to the end, the other side of the the building. You're talking what, 60, 70 feet? Right?
Yeah.
And then you made a left to go into
Sure.
the restroom.
Sure.
I mean, it was that.
And if
it was
anyone's,
that
if you've
much.
ever been in a pilot, here's what usually
almost made
happens.
it.
He actually got lucky. 'Cause
Yeah.
Here's what usually happens.
Yeah.
You walk in there, shit in your pants, dropping shit on the floor. You get all the way to the
Someone
bathroom, and it's locked. You
Yeah.
got to go
Go
back to the
back.
counter, and you got to get the key, which is usually a freaking toilet seat.
right.
Yeah.
And then you got to walk back.
Adding insult to injury, you're walking with a toilet seat with a key attached to it. Well, you've got a huge pile of shit falling out of your ankle.
While you're shitting on the floor.
Uh,
So he got very fortunate, and that's why I say you should never trust a fart. Like you could feel
No.
a fart come, and you're like, actually, I think you can. I think honestly, I take that back. I think you
Someone
can.
betrayed me once.
You can trust a fart because you pretty much know if it's just gas. Like if you've got one in the chamber, and you're like, I better not fart because it's going to be a problem.
yeah.
I got to find a restroom.
Yeah.
But most of the guys, I say 98% of the time, you can trust a fart.
But there's always those ones that are a little bit
That's
Well,
the
the sneaker-
2%.
Yeah,
presumptuous, prescriptious. I can't even fucking talk. But
We know what you're trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
That poor guy. You wonder what was going on. Like,
Oh, what
here's
a
what.
mess.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's think about the scenarios that could have happened. He's driving alone,
Sure.
and he's like, he knows he's got to find the nearest spot, and he almost makes it. Or he's
that's
driving with his wife, and she doesn't want to stop. He's like, I gotta fucking stop. And she's like, No, we're not stopping. We gotta go.
That would never happen.
No.
If a guy had to shit that bad, there's
Yeah.
no woman in the world that could tell him,
Yeah.
we're not stopping here. He would be like, get the fuck out. I gotta
Yeah.
Was there like? I imagine there was like line of angry fucking people just
No,
like,
and
slamming on the
honestly, I
fucking
think
door.
everybody was just in shock.
Yeah.
The only people that were
And
mad
gagging.
and gagging and then leaving. The only people that were really in shock were, and I felt terrible, were the people that were cleaning it up. As a matter of fact, one guy was near the bathroom with a mop,
Baby.
and he got on the radio, and he's watching people. The place was busy, and he's watching people walk all around with shit on their shoes, and he goes, "You better get me some help over here, otherwise I'm gonna be mopping all day."
What's great
people
too
were
is
literally
this
walking and shit,
No, I
spraying it
fucking
everywhere.
quit.
This
I
story-
fucking quit.
Yeah.
this story that
So
just
much
happened
money.
today
Yeah.
affected you guys and your group
Oh yeah.
in the 4 minutes you were there.
Mhm.
It affected anyone else that came in.
Yeah.
The people that worked there.
Yeah.
This is the most exciting thing in the last month.
Yeah.
They
I would
are,
not call it exciting.
No, are you kidding me? They were probably like, they can't wait to either bitch about it for cleaning it up or
Yep.
laughing
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. They're having
Yeah.
a great time because
Yep.
they're like, something cool finally fucking
Right,
happened
yeah.
here.
An event.
I don't know,
happened
man.
at the
I know.
pilot.
Well, hang
It'd
on.
be cooler if
I
like
can relate
Lionel
to
Richie
that.
walked in.
Well, you're right. It's not like it's right. Like, that might be cooler. Something shitty happened today.
Like, I wouldn't say it was cool. Lionel Richie walks in the store and is like, "Hello." You're like, "Oh, that was cool."
What if it was Lionel
But
Richie that shit his pants?
There you go. Yeah.